This isn't just a story of swords and shields. It's the story of how one man, Charles Martel, stood against a seemingly unstoppable force, and in doing so shaped the future of Europe. Let's set the stage. It's the early 8th century. The Roman Empire is a distant memory, and Europe is a fragmented collection of squabbling kingdoms. Meanwhile, a new power has erupted from the Arabian Peninsula. Following the death of the Prophet Muhammad in 632, Islamic armies, fueled by faith and ambition, expanded with breathtaking speed. In less than a century, they had conquered vast territories from the Middle East, across North Africa, and all the way to the Iberian Peninsula, what we now know as Spain and Portugal. They established the Caliphate of Cordoba, and from this new base, they started looking north, across the Pyrenees Mountains, into the lands of the Franks. The chronicles of the time describe a slaughter so immense that God alone knows the number of the slain. He was a brilliant, ruthless, and experienced military leader who had spent his life consolidating power and fighting off rival Frankish nobles and external threats. He had been building a professional, loyal army, and he understood the threat posed by the Umayyad expansion better than anyone. When his old rival Udo arrived, begging for help, Charles saw his chance. This wasn't just about helping a rival, it was about defending his entire realm. He knew his infantry-heavy army was at a disadvantage against the famed Umayyad heavy cavalry in an open field. So he carefully chose his ground. He marched his army south, but instead of meeting Abd al-Rahman head-on, he positioned them on a wooded high ground between the cities of Tours and Poitiers. This was a brilliant move. The trees would disrupt a cavalry charge, and the upward slope would tire out the attacking horses and soldiers. He then had his men form a large, tight square formation, a classic infantry phalanx. This wall of shields and spears would be incredibly difficult for cavalry to break. Charles's plan was to wait, to let the enemy come to him and break themselves against his unyielding wall of infantry. They absorbed charge after charge, the sound of steel on steel echoing across the valley. The battle raged for hours, a brutal close-quarters fight. The Franks were bending, but not breaking.
Ow.
Then, the turning point. Rumors began to spread through the Umayyad ranks that the Franks were raiding their camp, where all the spoils of their campaign were stored. This was likely a clever tactic ordered by Charles, sending scouts to create chaos in the rear. Panic set in. This created confusion and weakened the assault. Abd al-Rahman, trying to rally his fracturing forces, was surrounded and killed in the ensuing chaos. With their commander dead and their lines in disarray, the Umayyad army's morale shattered. As night fell, they retreated to their camp. The Franks, expecting the battle to resume the next day, remained in their defensive formation. But when dawn broke, the Frankish scouts reported that the enemy camp was empty. Under the cover of darkness, the Umayyad army had abandoned the field and begun a full retreat back towards Spain. The battle was over. The Franks had won a stunning and decisive victory. The victory at Tours earned Charles his famous nickname, Martel, which means the hammer. It was a fitting title. He had hammered the Umayyad invasion and halted its advance into the heart of Europe. The battle wasn't the end of the conflict, of course. Charles and his sons would spend years fighting to push the invaders Epsilon, Tau Alpha Iota, Rho Epsilon Y, Alpha Sigma, out of southern Francia. But Tours was the high-water mark of the Muslim advance into Western Europe. It sent a clear message that the Franks were a power to be reckoned with. So what was the long-term impact? Well, it's immense. The victory massively boosted Charles Martel's prestige and power. It allowed him to further consolidate his rule over the Franks, paving the way for his son Pepin the Short to become king, and his grandson to become one of the most famous figures in history, Charlemagne, the first Holy Roman Emperor. The Carolingian Empire he founded would define the political and cultural landscape of Europe for centuries. Had Charles Martel lost at Tours, it's very likely that Francia would have been conquered. The Umayyad Caliphate would have controlled a vast territory from Spain to Germany. The history of Christianity, the development of a distinct European identity, the Renaissance, all of it could have been radically different or might not have happened at all. The Battle of Tours was a true turning point. It was a clash of cultures, religions, and military philosophies. And it was won by a brilliant commander and his disciplined soldiers who stood like a rock against a flood. It's a powerful reminder of how the actions of a few on a single day can echo through eternity. Thanks for joining us on this journey back in time. If you found this story fascinating, make sure to hit that like button and subscribe for more deep dives into the battles that shaped our world. Let us know in the comments what other historical events you'd like us to cover. See you in the next video.